A reading from the Holy Gospel according to Matthew. Jesus proposed another parable to the crowds, saying, "The dominion of heaven is like a farmer who sowed good seed in a field. While everyone was asleep, an enemy came and sowed weeds all through the wheat, and then went off. When the crop grew and bore fruit, the weeds appeared as well. The farmer's workers came and said, 'Did you not sow good seed in your field? Where are the weeds coming from?' The farmer replied, 'I see an enemy's hand in this.' They in turn asked, 'Do you want us to go out and pull them up?' 'No,' replied the farmer. 'If you pull up the weeds, you might uproot the wheat along with them. Let them grow together until the harvest. Then at harvest time, I will order the harvesters first to collect the weeds and bundle them up to burn, then to gather the wheat into my barn.'" The good news of salvation. Who lives? Who dies? Who will tell your story? I have been haunted by that musical question since watching Hamilton for the 4th time on Independence Day a couple of weeks ago. A day we historically celebrate freedom and justice for all in these United States of America. Freedom for all? The states are united? I am shocked by our story. I am shocked by my part in it. I don't have words to express what I felt watching the murder of a Black man by a white police officer, knowing now he is one of thousands of Black people murdered by people in power in my lifetime. I have no words to call out the invisible coronavirus that is killing our elders, Black, brown, Indigenous, and other peoples of color at an alarming rate. Perhaps the more important question is, how is our story unfolding right now? The readings today echo the readings of last week, revisiting the sower and the groaning. Let us listen again to Jesus, the storyteller, as he places us in the parable of the field. The farmer has sown good seed. When everyone was asleep, an enemy came and sowed weeds. When the workers asked if they should pull up the weeds, the farmer replied, "No. If you pull up the weeds, you might pull up the wheat too. Let them grow together until the harvest. Let them stay in place until the harvest." What? Stay in place here with the weeds? How could we have been asleep for so long? Asleep to the depth of racism and environmental destruction we see all around us. Asleep while people in power abused and trampled the innocent and the poor and the disenfranchised. It is shocking to awaken that our story is both wheat and weeds. Now Jesus is saying not to pull up these weeds, but to live with them in the same field. Oh, deliver us, we pray, and we'll change. We just want to go back to our lives and see our family and friends. We want to go back to work and to school, and we want to go to church and maybe take a little vacation to the beach. The sun is really hot here in the field. As the story goes, they stayed together in the field. And the pandemic blew in the air throughout the whole field. Both the weeds and the wheat were afraid. Both were touched by illness and death. Both were unsure how to stay safe and how to keep their little shoots safe. More and more weeds and wheat died, and they both realized this will be with us for a very long time. And the wheat and the weeds grieved and grieved for their losses. Things will never be the same again. So here we are in the field together. As I look around, I wonder, who is the wheat? Who are the weeds? We both share the same soil with deep, nourishing ancestral roots. We kind of looked the same when we were small plants. It's hard to tell a weed from a good seed plant when they're young. So if we're in this together, it can't be about us and them, especially in the backdrop of this pandemic that is affecting everyone, everywhere. Maybe, just maybe, we're both, the good seed and the weed. I'd say I'm a pretty good seed with some tangles of weeds that are a part of me. My weeds have been with me for a very long time. Even when I try to cut them back, they creep up again. I know some of my weeds by name. I judge people. What is wrong with idiots? Can't they be more like me? Or that sneaky weed? Let me tell you what you want to hear so you'll like me, weed. I am just beginning to understand and uncover my own weeds of racism and complicity. To be a good seed in the field, we all need to call out our weeds, name them, and cut them back over and over again, or they'll grow out of control. This is work that will be with us until the harvest. As our story continues, something terrible happened in the field. So terrible, it caused the spirit to groan. On May 25th, 2020, a Black man named George Floyd was murdered by a white policeman while all the weeds and wheat watched. This was an epiphany event for me and for many others. This tragedy jarred me fully awake. I wondered, how could this happen? I couldn't even pray. The second reading tells us the Spirit comes to the aid of our weakness, for we do not pray as we ought. Our prayers of deliver us from this evil are not the prayers needed for these times. The Spirit intercedes. She intercedes with inexpressible groaning. I know that sound. You know it too. It's a universal sound. We hear it in the labor room just before giving birth and on the deathbed as the spirit separates from the body. It is a primal sound of unbearing pain or grief. It is a sound that signals enough, enough. I can no longer bear this. Yes, Spirit, enough. After hearing the deep groaning of the Spirit, I really opened my eyes, fully awake now. I looked around and was shocked yet again. Where did all these weeds come from? We're in trouble. Now that we are shocked into a new awakening, it's time to name the weed we have let thrive while we were asleep for so long. That weed's name is racism, and it's killing us. How will our story unfold? Perhaps the first reading from Wisdom can offer some guidance. For your strength is the source of justice. Show mercy to everyone. If our strength is the source of justice, we need to grow stronger, individually and together. We need to cut back our own weeds so that our roots can deepen and strengthen. Together, we need to stay awake and listen and learn about the weeds among us. And as we listen to our neighbor weeds, something happens. we discover there's wheat there too. We have such a great opportunity now to consider justice as we prepare to elect new leaders for our field. We need leaders who will follow the chosen one, our sower. We need leaders who are dealing with their personal weeds and who are strong and just and merciful. We need leaders who are more wheat, less weed. Then we need to vote. And after voting, we need to keep up our vigilance on the newly elected to make sure their weeds are kept in check. The really good news today is found in the first reading, and it reminds us, you have given your people abundant hope. We have good ground for hope. Good ground like Tom Schmidt, longtime beloved community member. No one who was lucky enough to dial into the prayer meeting and Love Fest Zoom for Tom the other night can deny our community has many, many strong, just, and merciful people to help with this daunting work. Now is the time to take up our individual strength, our community strength, and join it with others in the field to grow even stronger. Strong enough to call out racism wherever and whenever we encounter it, every single time. Together, we will have the strength to raise up our poor, the strength to raise up our Black, brown, immigrant, Indigenous, and other sisters and brothers of color. We will raise them up so the whole field can see them. Raise them up so we can finally listen to their stories in their own words. Who lives, who dies, I don't know. I don't know how the story will end. What I do know is there's no time in history, nor any other place on earth that I'd rather be than right here in this field, right now with you.